CZ Shadow 1 is likely the most popular competitive shooting pistol of all time. With near perfect ergonomics, a well-tuned trigger, and affordable price tag, it's no wonder why this is the pistol of choice for most competitive shooters. But times are a-changing, and in the pistol market, there is no shortage of competitive performance-driven pistols. With companies like Tanfoglio gaining ground, it was time for CZ to make an upgrade. It's been in research and development for over 2 years, with much input coming directly from elite CZ competition shooters. Their goal? Improve speed, accuracy, and durability. I'm Steve with The Shooting Edge. Today we're looking at the Shadow 2. CZ's new Shadow 2 is the latest evolution in the lineup of CZ75 pistols that officially began in 1975. So what's different about this one? Why buy this one over the Shadow 1? Well, let's take a look. What's in the box? What do you get for your $1,400? You get your pistol, 3 magazines, cleaning kit, Allen key set. You have a replacement safety selector. This one comes with a thumb rest, which is a nice feature, and your set of buffer replacements in varying sizes. All in a beautiful plastic case with gold buckles. So the best way to understand the improvements made to the Shadow 2 are to compare it directly to the Shadow 1. Now I have the Shadow 2 here on my right in urban gray with the Shadow 1 in all black. So the first thing you'll notice when you pick up the Shadow 2 is the larger, more aggressive slide serrations. These are now on an angle and they're a little bit deeper in the slide, allowing for better grip, whether you rack this from the front or the rear. This is also perfect if you experience sweaty hands while you shoot. Another new feature is the angled slide construction. So if I aim these both up, you'll see that the Shadow 2 looks like it was designed with a ruler, whereas the Shadow 1 has more rounded edges. Another new feature on the Shadow 2 is the 1mm fiber optic on the front sight. This is in contrast to the 2mm fiber optic that was offered previously. You can see the difference here. So while we're on the topic of sights, the rear sight is now adjustable on the Shadow 2, whereas it was not on the Shadow 1. So with the Shadow 2, we also have an improved competition hammer on the back versus your standard hammer that was offered previously. The magazine release is now a little bit more aggressive. It's a little larger and it protrudes out of the firearm more so than it did on the first one. On the Shadow 2, we have 1 Picatinny spacer. On the Shadow 1, we had 3. The Shadow 2 is a little bit heavier, weighing in at 2.7 pounds, whereas the Shadow 1 weighs 2.4 pounds. The Shadow 2 has an improved trigger. It has less take-up and a shorter reset than the original Shadow 1. You can see in the original, the takedown pin was protruding and stuck out slightly, whereas in the new version, it is low profile and flush with the slide. Shadow 2's frame is going to come with a more aggressive checkering on the front and rear. That's something that would have been added probably with grip tape on the original version. And you'll notice that you can choke up higher with the new angle of the frame and the beaver tail. It's quite apparent right away when you glance at these that the new Shadow 2 has thin aluminum grips, whereas the Shadow 1 came with those comfy rubber grips. For those with a smaller handprint, the Shadow 2 is going to be a lot easier to maintain control and reach the trigger with. If we take this apart, you'll be able to see in here, it's greasy, that our new Shadow comes with a steel guide rod, whereas the original came with a plastic guide rod. In addition to the steel guide rod, you also have your choice of rubber buffers, or silicone buffers, I should say. Some kind of gummy material that's soft. Now that the gun's apart, you can really get a feel for just how different they are in size. So if I put them side by side, it's apparent that the Shadow 2 has a longer slide and barrel. When glancing back at the frame, something obvious here is the shape of our trigger guard. We went from more of a rounded trigger guard to a squared off trigger guard here. I've been excited to get my hands on the Shadow 2 since it was unveiled at IWA 2016. I finally have one. It looks like a completely different pistol from the Shadow 1 and I'm excited to try it out. I want to bring you guys with me and compare it head to head to the Shadow 1, see how it holds up.
I feel like something's up and I can only guess the cause. It doesn't matter when, doesn't matter where, always hits me when I'm unprepared. I just feel like it's something new every day. Where did I go wrong? I hate having to worry, but I'm so lost. I'm always in a hurry and I know that things in life will always settle down. And if they don't, then I won't let it get to me.
So there was a ton of things that we loved about the Shadow 2 and a handful of things we didn't like. Let's take you through them. The rebuilt trigger mechanism runs smoother, has lower resistance, and a shorter reset. This meant the follow-up shots were easy. Each pistol is tuned in factory and competition ready out of the box. There isn't anything else that you need to put money into to make this thing ready to shoot. The newly designed frame brings the shooter's hand more in line with the barrel. This means that I can choke up higher than ever before underneath the beaver tail and really manage that recoil. In my opinion, this is the basis for the improved accuracy on the Shadow 2. Looking for things I didn't like on the Shadow 2 wasn't easy. I wanted to give you guys a few things that I didn't like, but I also felt like I was nitpicking. This would be similar to my buddy lending me his brand new Ferrari and me bringing it back saying, yeah, it was nice, but I didn't like the color of it. So if I absolutely had to pick a few things I didn't like, I would say that the availability is one. This thing is not easy to get in Canada, and it's even harder to get accessories for it, like the holster. Our holster, for example, was shipped out from Ontario. Here's me nitpicking again. The extended magazine release. I like this and I hate it. I like it because it's really easy to press, but I hate it because it's really easy to press. If you have a more aggressive grip, you are going to be pressing this thing by accident and dropping the mag every time. Did you see I caught that? The small fiber optic in the Shadow 2 is an improvement on paper, but in reality, if you're used to the Shadow 1's fiber optic, which is a little bit bigger, it's harder to acquire the small fiber optic, especially outdoors. I found that because I'm used to the Shadow 1 fiber optic, the Shadow 2's fiber optic was a little bit harder to find when I drew it out of my holster. We shot the Shadow 2 side by side with the Shadow 1 through competition and non-competition type conditions. The Shadow 1 in my case outperformed the Shadow 2 because I had more experience with the Shadow 1, but by the end of the day, the Shadow 2 was quickly catching up. With more practice, I bet I could outshoot the Shadow 1 with the Shadow 2. We rate this pistol 9 out of 10 empty cable spools. I'm Steve, thanks for watching, see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe. New videos weekly. Just kidding, edit that out. So I didn't set this up. I found this on the table like this. I go to take a sip, I hear something fucking weird. Look at this. What is that? Look. Look what's fucking clinging on here.
A wasp.
A fucking wasp, dude. And I almost drank him.